whether you'll be in business or you'll be in employment, it depends on the tangent you move in. For some of us, we'll actually find ourselves working in the private sector space. For some of us, we'll actually find ourselves ordinarily working for government, even in the public sector space. Or some will actually find themselves in business, large in the private sector space, or probably what we call the SME space. But what is also important to note, that whether you're in business, you're in enterprise, or you're in employment, you can also critically build your wealth, deploy a part of it into investments. So you're asking yourself, when you are in your active phase of earning, how are you optimizing your earning, either through employment or through business or enterprise, and how are you deploying a part of it into investments? And the idea around investment is simple, that you want to have a bit of the principle in place, but beyond having a portion of what you are earning presently be able to be secured, you want to grow it. And that's why the place of interest, hopefully, a return on your investment. And at the phase of consolidation is looking up, back on how you've been able to deploy yourself in your active earning phase, and seeing what the assets that you've been able to create to be able to put them in certain vehicles that can actually continue earning to sustain you in that phase people call retirement, when people are deploying to their own passions, or probably when you do not have the energy and strength to either work or run your businesses. But at the place of rest, probably there's the point when you are looking beyond 75 and ask yourself, yes, I have lived, I've been able to be supported, I've been able to actively earn something or create certain value, but you are looking beyond yourself. What legacy do I want to leave? What values, or probably do I want to leave to the people that are coming behind you? And that's why for me, a program like the one we are reflecting on today is important. One, it is providing an anchorage on how we can be meaningful in our learning, how we can also be deliberate and intentional in our earning phases, but also when it comes to the place of consolidation, how are we grounded? Probably in our various, if it's a spiritual pillar, how is it leaning or how is it standing? If it's your mental faculties, how strong are they? Or probably if it's your physical elements, because I always say a human being is body, soul, and mind. How all this put together, that at the end of the day, it makes you to remain a man or a woman on purpose, a man or a woman on assignment, a man or a woman who's living deliberately, who's out to cause impact, and beyond the impact, you can actually be able to leave a sustainable legacy. This is not something that is to be left to be discussed with the people who are old. You as faithfully, or you as truly speaking to you, I'm only 39 years old today as we speak. But by God's grace, I think God has enabled me to engage my learning faculties. Presently, I have my first degree. I already have my second degree. I'm nearly closing up my second degree again and consider postgraduate studies. As I stand before you here today, by God's grace, I am married for the last 18 years. My daughter today, as we speak, she's 16 years old. She's at Alliance Girls High School. I went to Starehe. When I left Starehe, I went to SIU. When I left US, I went to University of Arkansas in the US. When I finished there, I went to Moi University. When I finished there, I went to Technical University of Kenya. As we speak today, I'm currently engaged as a student at Open University of Kenya, learning something on matters leadership and accountability. Besides that, I have been actively in matters faith, because as a person, I'm always driven by three pillars. How relevant, how meaningful am I at the place of faith? Ordinarily, in fact, majority of you guys take your Christian faith, a heritage, for granted. But you as truly come from the Islamic faith. Born and raised in the Wanga kingdom, for those who know, from Mumias. You know a lot of strong Muslim influence there. But by God's own mercy and calling upon my life, He chose me as a firstborn in my family, along the line, to be a Christian. Within that particular formation, God, by His own inspiration, He told me that you can actually Christian yourself. From a Muhammad to become a David. Came to be baptized when I was in high school, when I was in Sarai here. And I've been able to carry that legacy. When I was burying my father, some nearly 3 years ago, it's only him who retained his heritage as an Islam. But I've been able to carry the faith, the one I've inherited from my grandmother on my maternal side as a Christian, be able to carry that on my mother, who is now Christian as a Christian, and carry the entire of my family, subjecting to the lordship, to the light of Jesus Christ. Besides that, I've been able to carry the education legacy. Beyond myself, being the firstborn in that wherever that family probably accessed a higher education at national school, got into a higher university level, and probably be the first to get into a postgraduate education, been able to influence that nearly 15 years down the line, there are people who are coming after me. Today, they're joining national schools. And beyond national schools, when I went to USI for my first degree, I was a poor boy. If anything, I was a hard boy. When I left Mumias some 25 years ago, coming to this city, the best that I wore that particular time was a sandak shoe. For those who know what sandak is, a plastic shoe. But today, by God's grace, I can wear any sort of shoes that I want. I've been at the marketplace for nearly the last 17 years. First part of it, nearly 12 years, I was in the private sector, largely in the financial services. We spent spaces in microfinance. By God's grace, we spent some spaces in development finance. Today, I work as head of strategy and planning at Unclaimed Financial Asset Authority, which is a top parastatal in this country under the means of national treasury and economic planning. But it does not stop there. One of the things that I carry as a scar today, I had asked God if it pleases Him to be one of the principal secretaries before 40. It didn't happen. I made a first attempt. I was given an audience, but just when the decision was about to be made, because of loyalty issues, when that formation was happening, I didn't see the light. There was a second call. It didn't happen. What did we decide? Probably because my training background was into business, I decided why not go learn governance. And that's what sent me to school, to start learning an MSc in international relations. When that didn't happen again, we pivoted. We said, fine, let's finish coursework, let's stall here for a while and relook where our calling is. Personally, I always believe that my calling is into leadership, is into teaching, and it's into accountability. And that's why we're building a skill set and a network around that. But one thing that is very clear, we know Kenya is a marketplace for us. If it's the space of family, can we be able to demonstrate some level of excellence at the family and providing leadership, guidance, and direction? Today, as I speak, as a firstborn among 8 children, out of those children now, 3 of them are professionals in their own right. The rest are children that have been left to steward that are at various levels of their learnings. I've been left with my mother. I have to graciously look after her. I have to ensure that I have a wife. I have to steward that. I'm blessed with 2 children, one who's 16 and 9. One is now today at the high school, and the other one is still at primary levels, still guiding them. But besides that, there also are people around me in terms of the extended family that we support to acquire higher level of education. So what level of excellence are we able to demonstrate at family? That's what is called embracing what? Your divine purpose at your marketplace. Besides that, I actually got into management at the age of 25 in the financial services. Today, I lead an institution that is commanding an asset base of over 84 billion. I'm the one in charge of strategy and planning. What does it mean? You can actually even position yourself through your training and your character formation to be a light and a salt at the marketplace. But it doesn't end there. We know the challenge we carry. We are suffering as a Kenyan people around the governance space. But I've always asked God, if it pleases him, that one day we'll come and provide leadership in this country. Not at the second or third level tier, but hopefully it pleases him. You are truly speaking here, we have presidential ambitions to lead this country someday. That's the excellence of a Christian leader, knowing that yes, you could be a Christian called carrying that heritage, but you are still oscillating around a network and a vision and demonstrating excellence to represent Christ in every pocket that we step in. Even the education sector that we step in. When I was in primary school, I got my A. I was the best student in Geography, History and Government in this republic. I remember His Excellency the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka was the Minister of Education then. When we stepped into high school, I was at Sarai Boys Center here. I got my A- there. When I left there, I went to SIU when the Kenyatta family gave me a scholarship to go study there for 2.6 million. I was one of the best students, graduate students there. When still at USIU again, as a born-again Christian, as a man who has no identity here, the American government identified us as some of the future leaders of this world. They gave us opportunity to go into that country and build capacity. We went, build capacity, network, and we came back. And for the last nearly 16 years, we've been at the marketplace, largely in the financial services, and for the nearly last now 10 years, we've been in government. But even here in government, we still not yet contented. We know that we can be able to demonstrate excellence. Even as we cry of misgovernance, even as we cry of bribery. In fact, when my sister was talking about the issues that she faces, yours truly works for a parastatal. Now, probably she's been trying to service us, but somebody who sits on the other side, how have you positioned to demonstrate Christ in what we do? One of the things in my annual budgets, I always ensure that I engage, because I have been in the market for nearly, say, 10 years in government formations, and I know what happens there. But because we represent Christ and we want to do it right, I'm always very clear on the kind of contracts that we set out. For me, and even people know in my workplace, I will give you milestone-linked contract with clear deliverables and clear payment terms. You will never interact with me one-on-one as a supplier. I will do a terms of reference, send it out there. Deliver, let it through the quality control that you've been able to meet your deliverable agreements, let you be paid. But again, it also takes for somebody to say you will deny yourself, probably to find yourself living in the lagis, the place of humility as a Christian. Can you agree that at this point, I can only have a lifestyle this much? I can only have one wife at a time. I can only drive one car at a time. Probably I can only live in one house at a time. And that which is apportioned to me as my salary is to be a diligent steward and live within means. But beyond that, now there's the place of knowledge and wisdom, that which a portion of it which I earn, I can also invest. And from my investments, I can also be able to grow my wealth. That my earnings do not only depend, or my lifestyle is not only dependent on what? On my earnings. Probably I know in this room there are many people who know me, but few will actually know that I work for government. Majority, even few, will even not know that I'm an employee. How I position myself? Because I know my calling is around leadership. My calling is around teaching. And my calling is around accountability. How do you position yourself? How do you brand yourself for your value offerings? As I sit here, I'm also an author. There are royalty income that comes through that particular space. There are income that comes through my investments. There are income that comes through what? My active play through employment. So what are we saying? That you can embrace your defined assignment at the marketplace and be excellent and still remain true to the core. For me, it's about transformation. I will always oscillate around anything where transformation is, because I know where I come from. Mtu anasema never forget where you come from. I know the humility and the humble background I come from. But by God's grace, I can trace the journey and see the level of transformation that has happened. And for me, that inspires me of the kind of possibilities that can happen. And that's why even I aspire that one day I will lead this country as your president. I'll walk that journey. I'll get the stone. But as long as I'm alive and breathing, and we still have our country, that will be part of my legacy. And if I do not fulfill it, one thing that is certain, among my generation, among the people who will come after me, one of them will come to fulfill it. And that's why we are positioning them to get the best in terms of network and in terms of education in the land. If this son of a Ken Carter will come and carry that name to a national level today, go through national education, come through some of the best, employment opportunities. Today we are at the heart of government. But when you look back, what name do I have? None. If anything, I will tell you I'm just a son of a mere Ken Carter. And my wife is just a mere housewife. That's why my mother is. But when you realize the call on your life, you exert yourself. You put yourself out there boldly. Out there. For you who may have opportunities probably to interact through my platforms, we are very authentic in what we share. We are very risk-taking, even in terms of what brand people know us about. Because we know it's about leadership. If it's about business, can you position your people, know you that you're in business and this is line, and you're pushing and pushing, and you can actually be able to grow from miles to miles. When I was sharing with my friend Kimani here, there was a time when we were at All Saints. There's a small group of us that met. Today we are trying to reflect where these men and probably women are at. But they're still in their own small pockets. And we are even challenging ourselves. Can we create a refresher, that community, just to be touching base? What were the dreams that we had? How far have we been able to push? And how far can we be able to take? It tells you that we are all made in the image of God. But again, in the image of God, the parable of the talents, that all of us are endowed with our various talents. And what will be a challenge at time is the element of productivity. How will we be productive based on the talent that have been endowed on us? It's important to challenge ourselves to be productive in every talent. And again, this element of purpose. For me, the true north could be very clear. But for you, get it to your true north, there could be certain oscillations. So how are you sensitive to the seasons and the times? And you keep navigating, that's the word. You keep pivoting, but not losing the true north. For me, I will safeguard the faith that has been entrusted to me. 2 months ago, I was able to raise my grandmother at the age of 85. She has been able to bequeath a heritage of what? Of faith on me. That I carry. And now, the baton has actually been able to be transferred on my head. When I was going to rest her, I was the first in her genealogy who actually even did a Christian wedding. When the Anglicans were asking, when this lady is now doing her last marriage on earth, who will carry the flowers on her and probably be able to carry this? Our descendant was able to stand out and say, we take this mantle and we shall be able to carry forth. When I interact with my cousins and with my own children, I tell them, I know where I came from. You guys should know where we are at. Please embrace these sound values. And for me, it's about transformation, it's about freedom, it's about dignity. How do you conduct yourself that every path you walk on, it can be a dignified path? Every path that you walk on, how is it enabling for people to enjoy their freedom? Today, even I speak, I stay in my own space. And I do not fear, by the way. And I always tell people, though I may have come out of need, I may have come out of absolute poverty, but I can tell you with no fear of contradiction that I'm among the few endowed people in this city. If it's properties we have, if it's houses we have, If it's influence, we have. State House we've been in, White House we've been in, but it doesn't stop me even coming on my own feet. If it's cars, we have driven them. At time I always joke, and even to my children, he's flying around. We fly around as if some people walk around. It's about what? Embracing your divine assignment in the marketplace and be excellent. And know that you're a brand. And own the call that God has placed in your own life. If it's truly at the family level, be excellent. Provide leadership. I'm the firstborn and the only son in my family. The ladies around me as my sisters, I provide leadership. Their husbands know that in this home, there's leadership, there's no void. My mother know that though he buried his husband, but this home has a leader. Even the neighbors know that this home, though tulizika mzee, lakini hapa hakuna kuregarega. My workplace people know. Masai, this is the way he walks. Straight and narrow. They have told you, I work in policy. I work in strategy. It tells you that by God's grace, I have been privileged to influence some of when critical decisions are being made around the mandate of the institution that I steward, I am on the table. I'm able to provide my intellectual energy. I'm able to provide my intellectual input, how we steward. I'm able to challenge the teams that I work with. The lady I got married to is a lady I knew when I was in Form 1, she was in Class 8. When she got married to me, she was only a high school leaver. But today as we speak, she's a graduate. She has her own family. She's one of the key resource persons in this country. She's been able to build capacity through our partnership. John, I'm excited the partnership that you have with Sarah. Please keep challenging this lady. The vision that she carries around this network, push it to the show. You just never know what light and what kind of enablement, what capacity enablement you're facilitating. I'm actually delighted that my sister here, she's already tapping into the grace. This is what as Christians we need to do. Let us network strategically. Let there be a positive influence around each other. Let's connect each other to opportunities. When the world is deeply rooted in darkness, let us truly be a light that they can be the premier alternative. But again, at times we position ourselves, even the current leadership today, when it was positioned itself to rise to the apex, probably they are speaking the way I am speaking today. But you ask yourself, what structures has remained true, probably to call out to the accountability? When you are low, we knew this. When you are reaching this level, can you be part of that ecosystem and still call us to light? You see, the place of marketplace is a place of wealth, is a place of impact, is a place of influence. We cannot carry Christ's identity and just be off the table, that we are part of the menu. It cannot be. But it only happens, one, if we are willing to be of sound character. If truly we are Christ-like, we will embrace the virtues and the value that Christ taught us and sacrifice that which easily entangles us to the element of darkness. And that's the place now where community also comes in, because we are made of flesh and blood. We are easily likely to be drawn apart. But if you put yourself to a certain accountability path, they will be able to call the greatness in you. A network like this will be helping us to call the greatness in us. How I wish that all of us seated here will actually be able to plug in this program. I will tell you, beside going to primary, beside going to secondary, beside going to university, there are quite a number of programs that we've been able to plug in this country. For the male folk, there's a man enough that calls out men. There's the crucibles that refines us. For us who've been in government, if it's the supervisory skill development, the senior management course, the transformative leadership, the strategic leadership development, we're always angling to keep building our capacity continuously. If you're a business person, what are those key trainings in your place that you're always continually tapping in? If you want to be a spiritual leader, what are those capabilities, capacities, resources, networks that are available for you to continually tapping in so that you continually keep growing? Because for sure, if you are not continually learning, you are dying. And if you are keeping dying, then this spirit of excellence, the very assignment that God probably has placed upon your life, you will not be able to see it. Practically, look at some of the icons we look around. Nelson Mandela, he was a lawyer, an excellent lawyer. Look at Barack Obama, a black man, a barrister. He able to organize himself, probably even moving to Harvard, and later on lead America. You are truly here. Look, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, with all the challenge that he's already having. What do we know him? A young man who grew up probably selling chicken. He came, he got his first degree, his second degree. Today, probably he's the first president with a PhD. Even against, when you assess, at times they always say, kings are never celebrated at their home. But probably 30, 50 years down the line, when we evaluate the legacies, when all the noise has toned down, he will not miss his contribution and his uniqueness or his key features. You today seated here, when your place of contribution to humanity is being assessed, what will they say? Who are you in person? What was your character? How did you sustain your fidelity to your assignment? What excellence did you demonstrate? And more importantly, what legacy did you leave behind? Today, if I was to drop dead, God forbid, because I know my assignment is not yet complete, one thing that is for sure, I know in my family, it will always be said, in this family when it began, it was of Islamic faith. The Christian element we see, it began from here. In this family, there was a lot of ignorance. Enlightenment wasn't here. But through this son, we saw men who even left this village and took our name to a national level. I challenge my own children that if I was able to leave the village and bring this name to a national level, they have no choice but to take Masai as a name to the international realm. My own cousin, who came with me, from the village, 19 years later, when I had left Sorehe, she came to Alliance. When she came to Alliance, she has sat in my house. She got an A of 83 points. When I had left USIU in 08, in 2023, she joined USIU on the very program I was on. When she reached there, she told me, this is a very small place. This even the program I'm seeing here, I cannot fit it. She started exerting herself as we speak. 2-3 months down the line, she will be moving to the US. She got a scholarship of 56 million to go study engineering. What does she do? She's been able to extract her name from the village, push it to the national level on the leverage that we already have. Now she wants to push to the next frontier. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what is called embracing a defined assignment to the marketplace and impacting this generation and even generations to come. When it will be said of faith, when we came to the city, I didn't just run and go to a hidden place. Where did we position ourselves? Being of Anglican formation, we found that at the apex of the Anglican leadership in this country at All Saints. We served at the highest levels, if there are any governance structures there. But because of other family consideration, again, in life they always say, know what time you can be on the steering wheel to dance. And at what point you can also exit, allow other people to beat the drum so that you can also dance to the music. That's the place of pivoting. That's the place of navigating. That's the place of being sensitive to the seasons. That's again the place of realizing that this life, it is in phases. I will have a phase of learning. I will have a phase of earning. I will have a phase of consolidation. Then I will have a phase of rest. But how am I being deliberate in each and every of these pockets, in each and every of this phase, in each and every of this element, that we live Christ-likeness in every phase of our life? You live an inspiring legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me challenge us. Truly, if we are going to be Christ light, if we are going to be Christ salt in our generation, it cannot be business as usual. But it's all about how have you positioned. If today you do your own evaluation assessment and you found yourself position weak, you can make a decision. The way Kirete made a decision, that is business, probably where it was initially, it was positioned weakly. How can I position competitively by taking to places that probably he can be able to tie to our clientele? And even just in terms of the naming, even the address, what address are you found on? If today I tell you I'm in Kangemi, you look at me weakly, probably say that this person is weakly, whatever. But if I tell you I live in Karen, you look at me again differently because of the kind of address, the kind of positioning. But probably if it hasn't happened in your physical realm, ask yourself, it begins with a change of mind. Have you transformed your mindset? And ask yourself, what network are you tapping in to give you a lever to the next level? This program that we are being told that is being launched today is providing us a lever for oomph in our spiritual life, for oomph for our marketplace, be it in our careers, be it in employment or in our businesses. My friend, as you look at these two good people, do they look like, if you look to them today, are they carrying the potential of wealth or poverty? And even if they have not hold there, I'm seeing their face is shining. It's a sign of things to come. Look, the kind of men and women that they are drawing around themselves. Ask yourself, what men and women are you attracting around yourself? Show me your friends, I will tell you who you are. Show me your network, I can tell you of your promise. Show me of your space that you are select, I can, with near precision, tell you how your next 5 years will look like. Today, if you go sit down and evaluate yourself and ask yourself, probably if I have not yet arrived or I'm not yet arriving, what are those hard decisions that you need to make so that you can be fundamentally be anchored on your spiritual life, be fundamentally anchored on your career, be it on the enterprise side, be it on the employment side, or even your service to country in governance. I have no doubt we'll provide leadership to this country. And when we provide leadership to this country, Kenya will have to find a respect as a nation in the community of nations. That is the heritage that has been bequeathed to us. When people went to fight for independence of this country, they are bequeathing us something so unique. And it is us to protect it. If something we call in international relations, national interest. If peace, prosperity, and security is something that we have to safeguard, then you can become that agency to be a preserver and a protector of our national interest. That in this country, people will actually be able to enjoy plenty. That in this country, there will be peace. That in this country, there will be prosperity. That the kind of challenges we are facing at today, if the level of desolateness, the level of sadness, the level of despondency, that you cannot be part of that level of despondency. Have you asked yourself to be part of that agency? Then how have you positioned yourself to actually project true national interest that can actually position this country to be on the positive light? When I look back, people like Wangari Maathai, the best professor that we've already had, they have already exited the scene. Recently, Ngugi wa Thiong'o has already exited the scene. We have this gentleman, Chris Kirubi, the best entrepreneurs we already have, they already exited the scene. Professor Magoha, The icons in the education space have already exited the scene. Now, who are being left to carry that genuine legacy that Kenya has been known for? It is me and you. So the question is, how are we positioning ourselves to be truly that light and salt that, yes, will continue to sustain a positive vibe about our country, about our people? If people are actually, when we go out there, they told you that Kenya is a country of entrepreneurs, that a country of hardworking, a country of true inspirational leaders, but probably in a space that is suffocated with darkness, can you step up and embrace that divine call? Ladies and gentlemen, it is possible. Inawezekana. You can. I challenge all of us to connect to this network and any other network, and let us raise our ambition that it is possible. I always tell people, Kenya is home. We have a heritage that has been bequeathed on our shoulders, right? Let's celebrate it, but let us fiercely defend and define the legacy that we want to leave to the people coming, to the glory of God and for the extension of His kingdom. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, we share this. Amen. Asante.